Thank you. I call Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I rise to take a call on the second reading of this bill, which is normally the time where we feedback contributions that have been made in the Select Committee, and obviously there's not the opportunity to do that because of the need for urgency and the fact we've covered the substance through the recently passed bill. But I would just like to note for people who may be listening that there has been external consultation on the bill, and that shows up in the departmental disclosure statement, that there has been input into this from a wide range of ministries. So there's been the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet undertook consultation and provided a draft of the bill to the Ministry for the Environment, Departments of Conservation, Internal Affairs, the Earthquake Commission, Inland Revenue, Maritime New Zealand, Ministries for the Environment, Primary Industries, Ministries for Business, Innovation and Employment, Culture and Heritage, Defence, Education, Health, Justice, Social Development and Transport, and the New Zealand Defence Force, the New Zealand Fire Service, New Zealand Police and the State Services Commission, Te Pōni Kōkiri, and the Treasury. And that affected parties were previously consulted in the earlier stage of the bill. So while it's always uncomfortable, I hope for everyone in this House to pass things through under urgency, there have been a number of eyes on this bill, and yet still we have an amendment coming in the committee stages thanks to the sharper eye of Labour member David Parker. And he, I understand, will be adding an SOP to clarify that the bill as it currently, the intent of the bill is that the recovery manager or controller is able to require an assessment on a structure, and for that assessment to be done in a timely manner and to be returned to them within that time frame, and that the owner or owners of that structure can appeal that request for an assessment, and that can go to a district court. But the intent of the legislation, as we'd discussed before it coming to the House today, was not for that appeal to be able to stop the assessment happening. It was only if the court ruled in their favour that they would get the costs of the assessment back. So the provision in the bill, which I think was intended, which is 26A8, intended to deliver that policy intent, says at the moment any relief that may be granted under subsection 6 is limited to the reasonable costs associated with obtaining the assessment, i.e. reading from that the relief would not be relief from being required to undertake the assessment and follow through on delivering it. However, I do I'd imagine we will be supporting the SOP in the committee stages to just make that much clearer, because I think that is absolutely the policy intent in this bill, and it's good to be clear on that. So I also would just like to touch on for people, when this is bringing forward the commencement of the bill that we had its third reading on the 10th of November, which creates a part of the Civil Defence and Emergency Management Act that specifically looks at recovery and helps move local communities from a state of emergency to a formalised...
Sorry to interrupt the honourable member. The time has come for me to leave the chair for the dinner break. Members, this debate is interrupted, and I shall resume the chair at